At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sierra. Pleasant welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program Between the Hairlines, a program dedicated to look at serious national issues, dissecting them, analyzing them, and making them simpler for our people to understand. Our commitment to our country is just clear, that we discuss the issues that matter so that policy makers can get our side and have the opportunity to look at diverse views on any serious national issue, to put them in a position to make the right judgment and the right decision for our people. Today's topic is unique, and I love it. Donald Trump has been up to something, trying to find places, countries where he can deport people he deemed as dangerous criminals. And we have information that our president, Joseph Yaman Bwaka, has been invited by President Donald Trump. And that one of the issues on the table for discussion is what they term as migration dialogue. What is that? 5 countries are being invited: Gabon, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Mauritania. Trump is an unorthodox president. He does things differently. His policy is about America first. He's making these to the advantage of the American people and to the detriment of just about anybody. This is the Trump who decided that program like USAID should be cut off and has been cut off completely. And practically he holds a view that, he doesn't need anybody else. They're all good. And out of a sudden, he's inviting 5 African leaders. And when you look at the 5 African leaders that's being invited, they are not the big names in Africa. What is Trump up to here? The plan to deport as many people as he can is a campaign promise that he made to his people, and he's want to fulfill it at all costs. Already, some countries have agreed to take some deportees from the United States of America, migrating people that he feels should not be here. So the question we are asking today to form this discussion: what should President Bwaka do if asked to accept deportee from the United States of America? What should President Bwaka do? What should the government of Liberia do? Should the government of Liberia say, no, we're not going to do it? Why or why not? So if they are to do it, by the way, would there be some financial support? And because of that little money, should Liberia accept that? If Liberia say no, will Liberia not be getting herself into bad books with Uncle Sam? If Liberia were to accept deportees, where should they be taken? To my Grand Crew County? Really? I'm just asking. And the other question I'm asking is, How could accepting deportee impact Liberia economy and job market? Negatively? Positively? Can any good thing come out of this should that become the reality of the day? Our country is desperate for money for so many reasons or things that we need to do in our country. And so some people believe that what a little drop in the bucket maybe can do some good. Hey, I have the best mind seated. The man Jimmy Eastman joins us from the nation's capital, city of politics. Jimmy, welcome to Focus on Liberia. This topic here, I'm fired up already.
Yeah, Anthony, it's a very good topic for us to analyze and evaluate at this current time, especially when we know that these heads of states are in town to discuss this matter. I'm glad to be here.
It's always good to have you. Dr. Clarence Pearson is here, seated and ready. He doesn't hold back in discussing the issues that matter. He's a straight shooter. He's focused on Liberia, neo progressive commentator. My good friend, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, Mr. C. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I want to say hi to Mr. Eastman and our listeners and viewers out there. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. We look forward to a spirited conversation in the interest of our country, Liberia.
Indeed, it will be spirited, it will be sober, it will be serious, and it will be dynamic. Abe Waka-Dukle joins us from the nation called Canada, next door to my good state of Minnesota. If you are there, Mr. Dukle, welcome. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Anthony. Thank you for having me here. And I want to say hi to my fellow panelists, and it's a pleasure to be here.
What do you make of the topic? What should President Waka do if asked to accept some deportees? I just don't go in detail, but tell me what you make of the topic, first of all.
Well, I think it's a topic that is worthy of our discussion tonight, and I think it's a good one.
Indeed, it is a good one. And so, folks in cyberspace, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia on our show Between the Headlines. We have a serious matter before us, and we have to weigh in on it so that our leaders can hear us, and then they will be in the best position to decide what is best for our country. Gentlemen, let's get to it. And folks following us wherever, Facebook, YouTube, please share. That is the contribution we will appreciate so highly as you enjoy the meat that we provide here intellectually. But let me start with you, our neo-progressive commentator. Should Liberia, our country, accept deportee from the United States of America or not?
Anthony, I think that's a very fair question, especially that we are dealing with a government in the United States that is very aggressive when it comes to the immigration policy and want to ensure that they make some political gains and score some political scores on the campaign promises to see the highest amount of deportees leave the United States of America. We've seen some of the most stringent measures of the United States government ever, and how they even approaching the situation with unmarked vehicles, ununiformed individuals, face covered, things you only see from gangsters are being attributed now to legal law enforcement in the United States, something that some of us are very worried about when it comes to law enforcement and the history of violence in the country, especially when it comes to minority population. Except that this time around, it is more towards the Asian population, what you would call the Hispanic population as compared to African American population, which is the dynamics that we've seen that have changed a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to Liberia, how does Liberia factor into this? I think, Anthony, there are multiple answers to your question. One would be, do we have the infrastructure capacity that if we take in hardcore criminals, like Trump is saying he's trying to get rid of, do we have the facilities like Colombia to hold hardcore criminals, like El Salvador, who received $5 million to hold up hardcore criminals? Do we have that facilities? I say no. Even our own central prisons and our local jails across Monrovia is overpopulated as we speak, badly handled, badly managed. Even your former Speaker of the House, J. Fanatic Kofa, was asked when he was coming out of the prison company in few days, when he was put in there for the Capitol fire, Mr. Fanatic Kofa, how is the prison compound? South Beach, he says, deplorable. But that's what we have now. We got to live with it. So I don't think we have the infrastructure to receive hardcore criminals and to be able to house them in our prison. Another thing, do we have the economic capacity to manage a population of people who are quorum to a certain lifestyle, that even if they are undocumented people in the United States, do we have the kind of a lifestyle infrastructure to host them? Like, for example, the kind of a housing system, the heating, cooling, water facility, electricity. Do we have all of those luxury that will be able to accommodate them in here, even if they are not hardcore criminals? I don't think we do. So, I mean, we're not in the position to make such a deal. But again, look, we are in a situation where our country is the one that says we submit to imperial power, we submit to the colonial powers. And when they tell them bend down, we bend down. When they say duck, we duck. When they say Chancellor must leave now, Chancellor will leave. If they say they sanction Samuel Tua and others, and they should leave government, they will leave government. So will President Baka be able to sit like the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, and say no to Trump's face? I don't think so. But we'll wait and see how it's going to play out. It's too early to call the cards when it comes to President Baka and what he's going to do in the White House.
Thank you, Brother Pearson there. So, Jimmy, to put it so bluntly, what should President Baka do if asked by the U.S. government to be another South Sudan or Venezuela to host undocumented immigrants deported from the United States, whom the Trump administration deems as dangerous criminals?
Well, Anthony, I think Liberia has to take a step back and really evaluate their refusing to accept them. What does that entail? A lot of people don't know, but just this 2025, 1,500 Liberians are set to be deported just this year. 1,500, and the numbers are climbing. So definitely what we will see, if Liberia refuses, we may see further sanctioning of visas to go to the USA. They will come under more and more pressure, and it could even invoke loans being sanctioned against Liberia as well. So to take a stand now and say we will not accept these deportees has to be measured. What I would do instead, I would try to have some policy in place that will protect Liberia from disfame. Because number one, we are in no obligation to receive non-citizens. Now, the law guides that if you deport a Liberian, we have to receive them, but non-citizens, no. So what we should do also to make sure we're not contravening the international human rights protection for refugees, we should make sure that these people are not refugees, first of all, and are protected. They are also, their nationality should be verified before we accept them. And we should have cost-sharing mechanisms. In other words, if they're going to send these people here, they need to sponsor the cost of supporting them. Just like Dr. Pearson alluded to, we have capacity issues, and in fact, just the other day when the U.S. deported 8 nationals to Southern Sudan, to what you mentioned, Anthony, those people were convicted of serious crimes, including murder, sexual assault, and robbery. So by you bringing that criminal personality and characters to a country who's they don't have the capacity to hold those kind of people in jail, will have a negative impact on the society. So there has to be proper preparation made to make sure Liberia can absorb it.
And Jermaine, do you think if asked or when asked, our government will say no and we're not taking deportees?
I don't think they can say no, or they will say no, because they'll be under huge pressure.
So what happens to Liberia when Liberia says no, or when the president says no, we can't do it because we don't
I just one they're gonna they put the rest of it. They're gonna go hard on Liberians who are here illegally or are seeking asylum. 2, there'll be no more visas issued to Liberia. Liberians at the embassy. There's already now there is noted that they do not overstay their visa, so they can justifiably do that. 3, humanitarian aid to Liberia may be suspended as well. These are tools they have now to pressure Liberia to do it. So if you're going to say no, then you have to stand back and be prepared to absorb the blow. And I don't see us making enough preparations. I don't see enough infrastructure development, businesses going to Liberia. We're not doing the things to putting the blocks in place to be able to be more sovereign. In fact, I see us more dependent on aid than before. So until we start preparing ourselves to be independent and sovereign, we will always be under the dictates of international country, law and stuff like that.
Thank you. Mr. Ducle, and you are here. This is a delicate situation. Jimmy is saying that our president, our government is unable to say no. And he listed what would be the consequences for saying no. Do you believe that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, but these things that we are discussing today, I don't know if we know for a fact that that's going to be one of the items on the agenda to be discussed. I think we are only speculating here. But with that said, even if that was the case, I'm saying I think we can just look at what happened to South Sudan as an example as to what the U.S. did to South Sudan when South Sudan said they were now going to accept people. And in fact, in the case of South Sudan, there were nationals of other countries that the U.S. wanted to send to South Sudan, and South Sudan said no. And we all saw what happened to South Sudan, like Jimmy just said just now. The U.S. has so many ways of, making people to do what they don't want to do or what they say they're not doing. They have so many leverage that they can use to get Liberia to do what they want Liberia to do. But I was also thinking. I did a little bit of a research before this show, and what I found out was that there's also a geopolitical angle to all of this. Gabon, the United States used to be one of the countries that buy the oil and other products from Gabon, and suddenly that has been switched from the United States to China. China is now the largest purchaser of the Gabonese oil. And so, in essence, I think the United States is beginning to see a shift from the United States to China. And, whatever United States does, whether militarily or economically, they are always trying to make sure that they are ahead of China. And so, with the move that the Chinese have made in the last little while in Africa, I think it's a concern. It's something that is concerning to the United States, and it's concerning to their diplomacy and their international relations. And so, I think, I mean, in my estimation, that's part of it. That's part of the reason why these leaders have been called, because really, when you look at it on the political front, political and diplomatic front, these nations are not any heavyweight. They are not heavyweight on the diplomatic scene. Nor do they have any tangible, uh, you know, diplomatic or economic leverage that they can fall back on to deal with the United States. And so, even in the case of Liberia, that is considered to be a traditional friend of the United States, uh, Liberia has shifted part of their foreign policy towards China in a way that I never thought it would be. And so I think the United States is aware of all of this. And I think this is a significant angle in all of what and why the United States is doing what they are doing now with these five nations. And so, in my opinion, I think it's more of an economic and political and diplomatic move than it is to get somebody to accept deportees. And like Ismail said, there are people don't say it, people don't talk much about this, but there are lots of Liberians that have been deported back to Liberia, you know, and sooner or later we are going to begin to see the impact of that. And so I think even when the discussion between Joseph Boakai and Donald Trump, even if it's something that has to do with Liberia accepting deportees, trust me, I mean, it's going to come with some dollars attached to it, and for the sake of the dollar that is going to be attached, Liberians are not going to be able to say no. Joseph Parker is not going to be able to say no, even if he wanted to, because of the money that is going to be attached to all of this. We saw what they did to El Salvador. We saw what happened in Venezuela.
Thank
So
you.
I think it's a mixture of geopolitical concern with the Chinese advancement in Africa, as well as all these other things that we were talking about here in terms of accepting deportees from the United States.
Thank you. I really don't see any geopolitical moves here by President Trump. I think President Trump is just looking for where he can send people to prove a political point. He campaigned on this that there are going to be mass deportation. And these people that he deporting, he just want to be able to dump them just anywhere. And I think he sees this country, if that is what the discussion is actually going to be, let me make that a disclaimer. If it is, because from what we read, they say, hey, migration dialogue. So if it comes to that America, Trump actually wants to talk to Liberia about deporting people, it's not about geopolitical maneuvering, nothing of that. It's just this man trying to find where he can dump people. He's looking for the weaklings in Africa, all right? And maybe the countries that are susceptible to America that will not say no. And,
Yeah,
and
to add to your point, Mr. Sia.
Hold on, Jimmy. He's being calculated. Look at this country. He didn't talk to Nigeria. He didn't talk to all the powers of Africa. And he looked at the weekly and said, well, these people will not say no, and we will tell them we'll give them a few dollars. We have Jay Randy, who has joined the discussion. So Jimmy, I will come to you there. Jay Randy, please unmute yourself. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is a serious discussion, my brother. If Liberia should accept, if, and I emphasize if and when asked by the U.S. government to accept some deportees, why should Liberia accept?
Yeah, so let me say hi to your guests and my sincere apologies. I'm in a location where I cannot disclose myself due to some private reasons. So I sincerely ask that you guys please understand and bear with me. Thank you, Sia, for allowing me to come and share my 2 cents here today. Well, I will not just take an open loop question from you. I'll kind of paraphrase it and just to understand, because this is a conversation that we don't know my pap or tomorrow or the day after or even the final day of the president meeting with President Trump. So what I would say here is, if Mr. Borka is contemplating on accepting any deportees that are not Liberians, I think Mr. Borka need to take a very strong step back and kind of look at things from different perspective. All right. And why am I saying this? Liberia is still a post-war country. All right. We are still recovering from our economic and social situation. We are not ready to even handle our situation yet. I often tell people that this administration is yet to define a domestic policy that align with the arrest agenda. So coming to the United States, and if the offer is presented to him with some cash support, it would be a big mistake if President Boycott decide to go that route. Another reason here again is it is difficult to host deportees. I think one of the guests mentioned about knowing who these people are and and understanding where they come from, because if they get into our society, we could have something that could become a transnational crime activities where they could blend into the society and start to do things that could destabilize the West African region. Infrastructurally, I think the guys also said that we are not prepared to make sure that we lock these people up. And Tunisia, you mentioned about El Salvador. You see the kind of prison the people have. No one has criticized their prison when it comes to security measure, facility maintenance, and how to keep prisons safe. Another thing President Borga need to consider too is the fact that if he does accept these people, he's going to be looking at some human rights violations, because the United States will want to impress on him as to how to keep these people and whether that mandate going to align with the human rights organization protocol and standards. So I think President Borga need to really stand his ground and not rush to accept things, but look at it from a policy implementation standpoint and be in order to make the rightful decision. That would be my take. Not to rush to take it yet, but to wait and weigh our option first.
Well, Randy, this is a government like any other government that is looking for money and desperate to show that they are developing the country. Obviously, if this proposal is made or this request is made to the Liberian government, there will be some financial incentives. The people must be transported, all right? And they must be put in maybe a prison or in any facility. If we have one, maybe it must be upgraded, or rehabilitated, or even build new ones. So money will be given, and Liberia must get compensated too, because it's work, and there are risks involved, concerns. So some people might be saying, well, if you reject this, you get in trouble with America.
Well, I think, Anthony, President Boga need to be very strategic in discussing the issue with President Trump compared to other nations. And for example, I mean, I'm not a legal or a policy expert to President Boyka, but I wish they are listening. If you look at our security infrastructure, they need upgrade. Detention center. We have overpopulation of people in our prison system.
Okay, Rennie, President Trump does not care about that.
Yeah,
he just want to see these. These are people he sees them less of human, right?
Yeah, but then
he just want to get rid of them just anyhow.
Yeah, but then,
and he has the power to intimidate our leader.
Yeah, but
this is what is his plan. First of all, we want to induce him with financial compensation.
We are a sovereign.
If he hesitates, then he might threaten him with sanction and so other things.
Yeah.
President Baka may not want to be in backbone with America, because that's the last thing any leader wants.
Well, the Bible, do you want a Bible that will leave an imprint on his legacy, or do you want a Bible that says, yes, we are a sovereign nation? Because if you look at
America can end his presidency if America so choose to do so.
Yeah, but is Boka actually representing the people of Liberia, or is he trying to please President? Trump? Because the question you're asking here, if President Trump decided to ignore,
I'm not sure our leaders have always been about pleasing us. They just been
well,
about themselves.
yeah, but let's look at President Walker. Right now, he's in the spotlight. So I would like to speak directly to his leadership and policy. So
Right.
we talk about the detention center in our country. They are so poor in maintenance and in operation. We don't have civilians in our country, no monitoring system. Now you talk about President Trump trying to push the envelope. That would be illegal and human
Then
rights.
why if President Trump, so let's say I get in your point here. So President Walker, should this be the case now? President Walker can raise all these concerns you guys are articulating very brilliantly.
Yes, so
The facility is poor. You mentioned post-conflict. Hold on, Rennie. Hold on, Rennie. I will give you time, brother. You know, post-conflict and that post-conflict thing, I reject that. It's been 22 years since this war being over. We Liberians continue to cry over and over, post-conflict, co-conflict. Regardless of post-conflict, people are assembling cars there. Let's put that thing aside. I don't want to hear it. All right? So all of these things, President Trump is saying, look, my man, we'll give you money to take care of that. We just want those people. And if you don't do so, this is what's going to happen.
All right, thank you for the time. I mean, while it is true that the war post-conflict country is becoming phased out to you, the question here is, if we measure the definition of a post-conflict country and we look at the progress we have made, it doesn't equate or it does not get us out of that post-conflict or recovery stage. When I said Liberia is a post-conflict nation, what I was specifically aiming at is the economic and the social aspect of our country. Now, if you talk about Trump trying to push things down, and this is what President Walker needs to understand. One, President Walker needs to understand that people who are coming to other countries by the U.S. deporting them, Liberia is part of the African Union. Liberia is part of the ECOWAS nation. Liberia is part of the Honorable Union. That is an extended relationship we have. So that means in order to maintain our border lines and don't have the transnational cross-border activity with criminality, we have to ensure that our these things. Number two, if President Walker accepts any proposal, like in the case of the deportees, he could put Liberia at a situation, in a situation that could have legal and human rights implications. And then it could also lead to public and other social welfare burden on the country. So the risk of accepting deportees is very high if you look at it from a risk assessment, because we don't have those infrastructure. So he has to be very strategic, laying out all the weak institutions that we currently have and what will make it very difficult to maintain what the United States is trying to achieve. So if President Trump sees that these institutions are weak, I'm sure people in his orbit will say, you know what, yes, we understand. He probably wants to help us, but he does not have what it takes. And then maybe the beginning of rebuilding our institution will start by what President Walker will put before President Trump.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay, Randy. And we've seen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And now Trump, I don't think he cares about that. He's supporting Israel blindly. And we just saw Trump again authorizing, bombs being dropped in Iran. I don't think he cares. He cares about whether those bombs are dropped in a hospital or hitting children. He doesn't care about that. All he cares about what he wants to see happen. So I don't see how President, Trump would be reasonable that, okay, they not get good rules or maybe they not get good praising. So we said no. Does he not know? They picked these countries. They were discussed. But we're not sure yet that's what's going to be the case. So I'll leave it. Jimmy. So now, let's say it happens, and President Trump, Walker is saying, okay, we're taking the people, and then we're going to give you some financial reward. You think that will benefit Liberia?
Okay, but before I answer that question directly, I've seen many of our audience have commented that's not the only thing. What makes us think that's the only thing that these 5 people are being called for? So what is the actual motivation behind Trump's move? Okay, the White House has put out a statement there. They want to look at the investment potential. When you think about countries like Gabon, they have a very mineral rich, even more than we are. And there are a lot of opportunities there. They're also oil rich. There are opportunities there. So there is an economic drive to it. And then, of course, they've introduced this ideological shift where instead of begging, asking for aid, why not an investment approach to it? You know, in which instead of sticking your hand out, say let's go do business together and see how far we can go. There's also some security issues involved. If you do know that Liberia did become a recipient of AFRICOM intelligence location. So we are a security consideration as well. And countries like Mauritania and Senegal are also along the routes, the migration routes to Europe. So there is also some security angle to this move. And if you think about it, if you look at the countries, instead of the high-profile countries like Nigeria, these countries are smaller, so they may be more cooperative than having those big ones aboard. So, and then the last one they talk about is the Chinese influence, the growth of the Chinese influence. And that is, again, it's another strategic move they could be making. So we agree that there may be other strategies involved here. But what is coming to the forefront for us is this acceptance of prisoners and or deportees, you want to call them that, if they haven't been convicted. I said this is where we have to be extremely careful, because if we are accepting criminals, people who are convicted of murder, rape, robbery, into our country,
the thing is that we have murderers, we have thieves, we have drug abusers in our country. You are presenting the thing as though we don't have this. So when we get it now, there'll be chaos. Don't we have murderers who are in jail? Don't we have rapists who are in jail? Don't we have people who are abusing drugs in jail? Has anything gone wrong with Liberia because of that?
Yeah, but those are Liberian. There's a cultural factor.
So those who know Liberia,
those who know Liberia,
who are criminals that are there, all right, they are not able to do anything. But someone who doesn't know the terrain, when they go there, they will cause chaos, right?
Okay, some of these people are tied to other groups. I don't want to label them as terrorist groups or gangs, but these people have ties. So now that you've deported them to Liberia, these gangs, they can easily penetrate or infiltrate Liberia than it is to infiltrate the U.S. So you have just invited some thought about guests, as well as those people who connected to those people. Whenever you bring somebody from a different culture, you are bringing things from that man's culture, his homeland, as well. So you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to handle any eventuality. And this is why I'm saying, if they're going to accept these people, they have to lay down some conditions so that they can be insulated from these infiltrations. A lot of these people they call them terrorist groups. They may have other kinds of influence in the world, and we have to be aware of that. And have Liberia could be vulnerable. We just have Liberians there. But when you start having Al-Qaeda operatives,
Jimmy, I think you are just pitching a scary situation. These are criminals. These are petty thieves that are in jail. Some of them undocumented. They put in there. I don't think these are hardcore criminals that have the capacity to cause a serious unrest in Liberia. I don't think that is the case yet. I think
you're assuming that, but you do not know.
Jimmy, okay, I don't know. That appears in. can President Trump stand up to, can President Boakai stand up to President Trump to negotiate a fair deal on behalf of Liberia? Should this discussion be on the table? And even beyond that, whatever so-called trade deal they say they have invited President Boakai for, you think President Boakai able to get a fair deal out of this meeting? Or will it be just one of those fiascos meetings that African leaders always wasting their time to have with leaders? They come and sleep in free hotels paid for by the Liberian people, enjoy themselves, and then they go back and people welcome them for nothing, and then the country remains like that. Is this the case of President Trump? President Boakai can look in Trump and say, look, this is not going to happen. And in fact, you're coming here for business deal. This is what we're going to get. If we don't get it, then no deal. Can he do that?
No, Anthony, the first of all, is the power dynamics that is playing out here suggests that Liberia does not have the wherewithal or the capacity to be able to stand to Donald Trump and tell him that, look, we're not going to do what you want us to do. But again, in diplomacy, there are ways that you can say no, outrightly saying no. Let me give you an example. On BBC quite recently, when we won the non-permanent membership seat on the Security Council, when our foreign minister was interviewed on BBC. What's the name again?
Sarah Beslow.
Yes, Beslow. She said that Liberia is not the nation in its foreign policy that will be bent just to the will of other countries. Liberia has been independent in her judgment when it comes to how Liberia exercise her right to cast her votes. And she cited 2 occasions where we voted in opposite to what the United States was voting for at the United Nations when it came to the issues of Israel. And then she mentioned that we voted twice against the United States on the issue of Israel based on our own foreign policy disposition. So diplomatically, there are ways you can go about it and say, no, it don't have any ramifications. I think she was also asked, don't you think there will be some reciprocity in terms of not voting for the U.S.? And she said, listen, the U.S. respects our will and our pleasure, just as it respects theirs. So there might be some diplomatic way to go about it. In addition to that, when it comes to diplomacy, let us not forget the early stage of President Trump's action on this whole deportation thing. We heard that about 90% of the people he was going to round up and deport will be criminals. It turns out in 2025, scanty data showing up. When I say scanty, it means we don't have much information, but scanty data shows that at least 61% or so, or 60% or so of the people they are rounding up are not convicted of any criminal offense. So there is a wiggle room in there where you can negotiate the kind of deportees that you would take. But let me say this to be on record, regardless of whether you allow the influx of a deportee that has criminal record or not, there may be short-term incentives. Maybe you get a few couple of millions of dollars, but the long-term incentives, they're not there. Economically, it's not there. Is that telling somebody can't visit me? It's different from can't stay with me. If I say come visit me for 1 week, I'm going to take the responsibility for that week. But if you came to stay with me, then I take on the responsibility forever. So we need to be very cautious and careful whether they are hardcore criminals or not hardcore criminals. We need to look at the long-term and the short-term benefits. And Anson, let me say this: when you ask Mr. Ismail a question, you said, but aren't there criminals in Liberia? Listen, America has one of the greatest legal systems in the world. They have one of the greatest incarceration facilities in the world. And if they tell you they cannot maintain it, they're not good for them. What's about a broken system like Liberia? Don't forget, there is an influx of cross-border drug trafficking in Liberia. And so you myself was on this platform the other day discussing an unmarked plane that land in Liberia, transported drugs, and also land in Sierra Leone without any landing rights. I think Sierra Leone or Guinea, one of them, or Ghana, one of them, without any landing rights, and the plane was arrested. And that plane was from Mexico. So imagine, like the Ismail is saying, receiving immigrants from a Mexico background that have a Mexican background, I should say, that have some link to the drug cartel in Mexico. You wouldn't have just made it easier for them to make Liberia a new bed for drug trafficking in the West African region. Now it's no longer going to be us worrying about Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is going to start worrying about us. Guinea is going to start worrying about us. Africa is not going to worry to become worried about us. And by the time we know it, we become more than just a vulnerable border for drug coming into our country. Now become distributor in the process, or a network of distributors in the process. So there are so many, like Randy said, there's so many facets, cross-border facets and transnational facets to this that we got to be cautious about. And I would just caution President Boyka, listen, we got many ways to dodge the bullets in here. We can talk about the fragility of our country coming from post-war situation. We can talk about the fragility of our prison compounds. We can talk about economic fragility and all of those things, especially with the pulling out and all of those things. And we probably might get away with other things, and not just with the immigrants that he wants to deport to other countries. But I can say for our listeners out there, that is number one priority on Donald Trump's list right now, because he wants to have to get rid of these people, and he's looking for places to get rid of them, regardless whether they are illegal or legally illegal in the country, but he can still get rid of them if he can. He will do that, and he's looking for a place to dump them.
Thank you. So again, we continue to say if, because report says that one of the things on the agenda is migration dialogue. And we have already seen the Trump administration making a move to deport people from America to other countries. And so that is why when we saw that on the agenda, we felt that, look, we need to have a conversation around this, because if it comes to reality, our country and leaders need to be prepared what they need to do. That is why we are having the discussion. I know others are saying, why are you people even discussing this, that people, I mean, our leaders, are they not liars? Sarah Besler Yanti is the one I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to listen to Sarah Besler Yanti, who has lied to the whole nation about a scholarship scheme, who has been maintained on the job, and she's the one I'm going to listen to on something like that. No, we have to have a serious conversation here. The government we're dealing with, the government of the United States of America under Trump's watch, can do anything. All right, so we continue the conversation. And Jay Rennie, I'm coming to you here. You are saying, if you are advising President Boyka, I'm paraphrasing you here, you will tell him to find a way around it, because, you know, we get from war and all other things. So if this offer is made, and with a huge financial package, and say, well, the road to Cayman will be paved, 4 lanes. And, you know, the road to Grand Cru, I don't know what country you're from, maybe you're from River G, to your River G will be paved, 4 lanes. And these are hardcore criminals. These are people that chose in this country where they could live better life to get involved into some terrible things. You think Liberia should forego what would be more beneficial to it as a country for some people who made terrible decisions? Liberia should forgo that?
Like I said, we are in the 21st century. We are going to be 178 years old country, and left Liberia. Before Katondo came in, he said that Liberia and the United States are friends. We must work together. What I will continue to say here is our leader in the 21st century need to be very strategic. If we are not strategic, somebody will take off for a ride. And I think it was either Dr. Pearson or Jimmy mentioned about the heavy hitters on the continent of Africa. President Trump is aware that there are some countries on the continent that have truly defined their destination. They have a clear pathway to their future, and they will not succumb to any desperation, because their goal is to reduce the amount of problem they have in their country and not to add to it. So if President Boyka wants to just solve a short-term problem, then he can commit to Mr. Trump. But you got to bear in mind that when these people get in there, it is easy to accept these people, but it will be difficult. one of the reasons why the trade, I don't know where you come to the trade, but let me just give you a cross-Atlantic geographic, a picture perfect in every one of our mind here. When you look at Gabon, you look at Guinea-Bissau, you look at Mauritania, I believe, and look at Liberia, that entire Western South Africa is directly looking at the United States from a cross-Atlantic standpoint. So if anyone comes to our country as maybe deportees, they are quickly able to get to South America and start their Atlantic slave trade. And Tunisia, our country is not prepared at any level of maintaining surveillance, maintaining security, providing safety for our people. So while it is true that the package sounds good on paper, I don't think President Boka is ready for such a tax. If you look at President Boka's arrest agenda, the president hasn't clearly defined the direction of our country as it relates to what he hoped to achieve. What are his vision for each letter within the arrest? And then he wants to come here for the sake of the conversation and take on another issue. We had the Chinese that we are already doing deal with. And then you want to bring the United States into that. I would say President Boka's security advisor, the economic advisor, they all need to take a step back, including the public health and the justice or ministry. They all need to sit down and be very, very strategic. If they would never prepare, well, we will just hope that this topic that you bringing out doesn't come out, because I don't think President Boka will be able to stand in the face of Donald Trump without pushing things. Because if you have the rightful knowledge, then you will be prepared to put forward the rightful action. And I don't think President Boka is prepared for that, Anthony. So whether the rule comes from Kipma to River G, Talkingtown, where I am from, where my parents are buried, that rule will not do us good if it was never done based on a policy that's supposed to achieve things.
Mr. Ducle. Mr. Ducle, you are muted there, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, please unmute. So my question to you is, let's look at the cost and benefit analysis. If Liberia should say no if the offer is made, Liberia gets in backbone with the U.S. government. You earlier stated that, or maybe one of your colleagues stated that sanctions may come. And now you have a government that is constrained when it comes to raising revenue. The U.S. government has been contributing to our budget nearly every year. Trump will pull it back. Already, we are suffocating as a result of them pulling the USAID funds. All right. And many other things that may happen. And now we have Liberians here. Someone articulated that they say, well, Liberians are here who are undocumented. We're shipping them, now putting burden on the government again. All right. And so we say, okay, Liberia, you want to misbehave, what we're going to do, those Liberians that live here, you're sending money to your family in Liberia, we increase. We're putting maybe 40% tax on it. So if you send in $100, take out 40, your family person not getting that $100 anymore. They're getting $60. So many things they can do. All right. So that is what it may cost Liberia should Liberia say no. If Liberia says yes, maybe there might be some incentives. And if you look at these people who committed crimes or who came here illegally and chose to stay here, if we accept them in good faith, that's goodwill. America said we don't need these people. Maybe they are undocumented, and you are taking them. Say, well, we'll take these people, we'll take care of them. All right. The Bible says we will forgive 70 times 7. So we'll take them, we'll forgive them, give them money, we'll take care of them. And Liberia benefit. It's not a good thing to help others out, to give somebody a second chance. And then you want to go through this punishment because you don't want to do good. So let's look at the cost and benefit analysis. You think the good decision here is to accept them or not to accept them?
Well, I think, Anthony, that question, I think the question is actually out of place,
All right.
because and the question should be,
Mhm.
what can Liberia do if they say yes, and what can they do if they say no? And so, because the fact of the matter is, Liberia is not in a position to say no to the United States,
Mhm.
and so obviously, if the answer to the question is yes, then it's going to come with some financial economic benefits attached to it. But look, this is not new. This is not the first. If you recall Liberia's history, in the mid 70s, when the war broke out between South Sudan and Sudan, a war that is referred to Anyanya One, there was significant number of South Sudanese nationals that were resettled in Liberia from South Sudan, if you remember, because I think there were only two countries that accepted South Sudanese: Congo, the Republic of DRC, and Liberia accepted those Sudanese refugees that were fleeing from the Anyanya One. And so, and Liberia did that in solidarity with South Sudanese people, and that was part of the Liberian diplomacy, where we were in solidarity with our African friends and brothers and whatnot. But in this case, we don't know who is coming. We don't know what crime they are accused of committing in the United States, and we don't even know what country are they going to be coming from. I mean, what nationals are they? So there are a lot of unknowns for which Liberia should be cautious. But I mean, cautious or not, if that's what the United States is asking, definitely Joseph Boakai is going to say yes, because Joseph Boakai cannot afford to not be in the good books of the United States. I mean, like we said earlier, there is just so many leverage that the United States can deploy to hamper anything Liberia want to do economically, politically, and financially. And so I don't think Liberia, being the kind of fragile still that it is, Liberia can afford to have to go through all these challenges.
So I like what you're giving me there, and so let me follow up here. So you are saying there's no way the offer when made for Liberia to say no, because
Absolutely.
Liberia is looking at our relationship with the United States.
Yes.
Second of all, the financial benefit that they come along.
Yes.
Maybe you can add, Liberia wants to step in on a humanitarian ground.
That's right.
Want these people anyway. We would take them and maybe provide a space for them, right? And
Yes.
so that's the financial reward. No, so now Liberia takes them. Liberia gets the financial benefits. Will the financial benefit be used for an internal purpose? Mind you, now, when our own citizens were repatriated to our own homeland in Liberia, funds provided, reports had it that those funds were misapplied to the point that the president suspended some of the leaders. And that is the only thing we heard. And we are also aware of the terrible conditions our own citizens had to go through. I think in Bon County area.
Yeah.
People went there. It was terrible. Our own citizen was not given the proper treatment.
Anthony, can I get 30 seconds?
All right, go ahead.
So look, let me say this. It's like we said, we're having this conversation because it's possible policymakers might be listening or government officials might be listening. And so this may come up tomorrow or during the meeting with the president and Donald Trump. Look, let's look at what they call the cost benefit factor, right? Look, let me say this. It is not in our interest to the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost for this situation, for this decision, if I'm making a decision based on opportunity cost, I'd rather turn Donald Trump down and I will lose less in his next 3 years in office, which of course is just get one more term in office. He's not going to have another re-election, compared to the long-term impact of this decision on my government and my country for the next 50, 70, 20 years. Right? So I would rather tell Donald Trump no.
Let me interject that. You think that's how President Bwaka will be looking at it? President Bwaka wants to succeed.
That's what we're having the conversation.
So he's looking at the next 3 years. He wants to achieve something monumental. And getting involved in America will minimize that chance, very significantly.
That's why you get paid good money to be economic advisor or political advisor. I would tell the president to look at what has Liberia benefited the last 18 years from America compared to what we benefited from China, without any tension between our relationship between China and America. So Liberia has been able to work.
One of the things have been sponsoring your rebels. Sponsoring your rebels that led to destabilization of the country.
Wait, Liberia has been able to walk a tightrope between China and America without causing any friction. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying here is that we benefited to some extent what to show more from China than we can show from America. And somebody will argue with me, say, look at the number of volume of cash that America will put for and say, we've been giving 400 million, 500 million annually. But what do they have to show compared to what the Chinese has to show in our infrastructure development in the past 10, 15 years? There's a big difference in there in what you have to show and what you're saying you are putting in. So let me summarize by saying this. For me, the cost benefit factor for Liberia is more to our advantage to say no, and like Remy is saying, and don't inherit a long-term negative impact of that decision of saying yes, as compared to playing the long-term game and saying, listen, for these reasons, we are able to do this, and we are appealing for us to have another form of conversation in other areas that's more feasible for our country at this time. Whatever pushback will come and impact will come will be short-lived in terms of how long President Trump has in office. Because right now, not all of us happy with him to begin with.
Thank you. You asked for a few minutes there, and you took time away from Mr. Dukley. So, Mr. Dukley, you are in speech.
Yes, and Anthony, I still come back to my initial point here. I don't think we should discount the geopolitical aspect of this. It might just be one element. It might not necessarily be the entire dialogue being focused on that, but I think it will have something to do with it. And you were just talking about China. Liberia has made a significant shift towards Chinese in terms of our development agenda and how we can get the Chinese to be part of that. You see, all of what we are talking about here, and the rationale you are giving here is a reasonable one. To say, what, we can withhold it, we can say this, in the next, after 3 years, you will be gone. Yes, but do you actually think our politicians and our leaders think that way? I don't think so. Otherwise, it's a rational way of thinking. I mean, you know what? Whatever happened, we can withstand this for 3 years. But look, I was just going to make this reference here. Burkina Faso has set the standard. Burkina Faso has done things in 2 years. Ibrahim Traore has done things in 2 years that it took some other countries 30 years to do. And he did all of this without a single dollar from abroad in the form of aid, and everything was done with what they have and within their means. And that should be an example that, and there are other countries who are far richer than Burkina Faso is, and they are dependent on foreign aid and assistance. So when you look at the 5 countries, Liberia is among those 5 countries. Liberia is the one that has the longest relationship, the most close relationship with the United States compared with all these other 4 countries. But are we really on the trajectory where this relationship is about to be improved, to be advanced, or are we just going to be called and dictated to as to what to do? Obviously, the answer will be yes, we are going to be called to be dictated to and tell us what to do, because our leaders are not in a position to say no, because They cannot live with the consequence. They are not able to observe what's going to follow. You know what it means to a Liberian official to say that you are not allowed to go to the United States? Did you see how Samuel Toy reacted when you were told that he's banned to come into the United States? You saw how he reacted. So I mean, there are just so much to lose from their view, from that perspective. There's just so much to lose that they're not willing, and they're unable to say to the United States, no, they can't, for fear of what they are going to lose. So I mean, and usually when they talk, when they deal with the United States among themselves, they're usually looking at the financial and economic benefit to themselves first, before the country second. And somebody just cited the repatriated Liberian that came from Ghana and other places in the sub-region. We saw how there were international support, people throwing in some money, and what happened with that? Even just to be able to locally settle these people, nobody paid attention to them. All they were concerned about how much money we are going to get from this. And when they got the money, they embezzled the money. They did all what they wanted to do at the expense of those poor souls that were asked to repatriate to their home country. So this is not any different. My fear is, and I heard you Anthony asking Jimmy, look, new people, new culture, new attitude. And all the things you said, yeah, we got criminals in Liberia, but it's not the same to have a homegrown criminal and to bring in somebody. There's going to be a different dynamics. There's going to be a different culture. There's going to be different mindset and to the kind of crime that we're going to be experiencing. As a matter of fact, we don't know anything about these people. And I'm not even sure if the United States themselves know fully these people's history or their background. They don't. Most of these people. Are these people just people who overstayed their visas and now they are illegal? Are these people people who crossed the border and they were murderers in their country and they came to the United States? There are just so many, so much unknown that it's kind of hard to wrap your head around this. So
Thank you.
It's a good idea to sort of wait and see.
Thank you. J. Randy, so what are the opportunities this potential deal presents for which it cannot be rejected? What are the potential opportunities?
Are you limiting the question just to the deportees, or are you limiting it to the content of the visit that has to do with
specifically to the deportation, all right, and also the entire meeting, President
I think
has been summoned to.
I think when you look at the cost and benefit factor and you kind create what I would describe as a risk assessment that focuses on the criteria, the cost and the benefit, whether it is from the security aspect to the economic burden, and of course to the risk associated with that, Liberia stand to lose in so many ways. Number one, we could increase our demographic because, like someone mentioned, I think it was Dr. Pierce or maybe Jimmy, President Trump will not be there forever. But if we accept a population of people into our country, once President Trump leave, what next after the President Trump leave office? If another United States president comes and say you have to let the people go, and some of the people get comfortable in Liberia, are we looking at that consequences? That is the long-term consequences. So for me, I would circle back to President Boka coming out.
But Rennie,
Yes.
Any human being can live anywhere. I was in my village in Sastan, cutting palm nut and getting on the sea. I'm here today. I'm surviving. At some point, what made me to run from Liberia, I went to the Ivory Coast. I used to call wood. I survived. And you're telling me that people come from America and they will go to Liberia, they will not survive because they are in. I mean, Liberia, we got better food there than the food they have in America here.
Yeah,
so what are you talking about? Some of these people might be fat anyway. When they start eating organic, then they will come to realize that, wow, this is a much better country than even the United States. Freedom is actually, Liberia is free than America. That's the reality, right? And you guys just beating a scary situation for nothing.
But yes, the thing, and what we did here is not on a normal process. Our country is open to anyone from any part of the world who want to come to visit, to stay, as long as they meet our immigration and requirement. That's not the case here today. We are discussing a situation where a leader is trying to clean up his country, but not depositing the debris into the required country. And we must accept the debris. And we are seeing tonight that there must be a strategy in place for us to accept that debris, because when we accept that debris, we own it. From the day we accept it to the time it stays with us to the time it expires, we own it. So what are we thinking about after this president called Trump leave office? So that when you come in with a cost benefit. So
Jeremy, if I may, right? I mean, I have been paying attention to the whole deportation thing because I'm very sensitive to human rights issues. And I'm a big critic of President Trump and the way he does things, right? And so I've been paying very attention. Even the mega people are extremely, some of them are extremely unhappy with this level of deportation and the way they're ransacking people, the way they're treating people. They are completely. So maybe President Bouacar could take the derivatives offer. And by the time Trump is out of there, the new administration say, you know what, send the people back.
Yeah, but
and then Liberia will get whatever reward that will be offered as a result of and then Liberia benefits as compared to Liberia facing maybe a possible sanction for 3 years.
Liberia has on a chart to survive. Eddie Johnson said he rejected the AFRICOM during the Obama administration. We still survive. There is not a time that we cannot stand as a nation. I think Brother mentioned about the refugee that came from East Africa during their war at that time. That process was done in accordance with the Refugee High Commission standards, where we kind of arranged for people, we vetted them, and we brought them to our country. This is not the case. Do we want to accept a burden now, and then in the future it become burden?
I don't think this is any different, Jeremy. And let me add to what you listed. I like that you provided that, right? To add to what you're saying, Jeremy, we also accepted refugees from the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, but
many of them live in Grand Gile.
Yeah, but listen,
for a long time before going back. Nothing happened.
But here's the thing: we have to the condition that created the refugee status. East Africa, there was war. Whether it was the ULIMO, the FRELIMO, or the SPLA, whatever the name were, they came. In the Ivory Coast, there were war there. All right. In this situation here, a government decided to initiate a policy that is not giving a thought-through process to, but because it had made a promise to certain folks in the country, the process is not being done. You are not seeing it here. You just mentioned that you have an issue here because we have rule of law in this country where the three branches of government gave everyone or anyone in the country the ability to be able to go through a due process. That is not being followed. So should we compensate that behavior in Africa, especially in Liberia? Then how will the AU take us? How will ECOWAS take us? How will the world look at Africa in terms of standing our ground? Do we have all the institutions in Africa or organization that had no integrity where anyone can just come and say, okay, you got the African Union, I don't give a damn. Liberia, come here, let's do this here. Then what is the essence of having this institution? So I'm looking at the process. I'm saying here, I'm not refusing to accept or President Bouacar to accept anyone in our country. But we cannot just accept other people criminal. Like, don't you think that if we have our own will, we could deport people to the United States here? Will President Trump accept that? The argument will be, well, we don't have that much power to do that. But from a humanitarian and a good partnership relationship, we should be able to do that. So I'm saying here, President Bouacar need to be very, very strategic. Don't say no. Put all a defense mechanism. Look at your infrastructure. Look at your security standard. Look at other aspects of your country that put your country in a position that if you evaluate whether you need these things or not, it will not work. And look at the greater risk. The country of Liberia is facing the North, the North and South America. People can break jail in the country because we have a weak system. Next thing you know, they can cross into other country and get back to South America and cycle back because we have a very broken system. So he need to put for the lapses the lack of strength in our institution, the weakness, as a way to have this conversation so that President Trump can understand where Liberia comes from. El Salvador and other countries, they are not going to war. Sudan, well, they stay struggling, but we cannot be the Sudan. We must define who we are. And this is where we want to see whether President Boka, who said, yes, if I don't win this election, there will be no peace in the country. We don't know what the people are capable of doing. So I'm looking forward to him negotiating on his highest level of intelligence by being very strategic. He cannot just accept people like that. Now, before I land, is President Boka going to use his policy to bring people in the country, or is he going to say, look, President Trump, our country has their version of Congress. We have to sit with these people, get to hear whether we need people here, because our country has representative senator that have to go through the process. Is he going to do that? That is another domestic approach that he needs to understand too. Are the Liberian people going to be willing to accept these people? So there are so many stakes here that are very high, and they will clearly define whether President Boka has an international policy that defend the borderlands of Liberia, or he's going to bend over as people like me often taking to be. That's just my thought.
I'd like to add something to what Randy is saying there.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
When Liberia was approached for this Afrikaans, first of all, it wasn't even broadcast too well. And I don't even remember the legislature taking a vote on whether or not it should be accepted. But it was an executive decision. And I'm very much convinced, because I saw that what happened in that instance, it's not like we're going to say no here. As much as it's much more higher profile, as much as the risks are more diverse, I don't think we have the chutzpahs to say no, because it requires a nation to be dynamic, to be self-sufficient, and to have a purpose and policies toward everything. And we don't see those things ironclad. And so as a result, we will go where the wind blows, and now the wind is blowing us this way. And that is why I have nothing to look back on to say, no, they will take a stance here. I won't see them take a stance. I haven't seen that. And I remember a long time ago, we did take a stance, and you know what it led to, 1980. So, but right now, I don't see, we don't have the legitimate legs to stand on if we should try to make refuse this offer. I think we need to make the best of this offer and develop a policy so that
what is the best we can make of this offer if this offer is made?
How can we? What? First of all, we do not want to contravene any humanitarian law, established international humanitarian law. They're not deportees and whatnot from other countries. We shouldn't have to force them to send them back to their countries if they were looking for asylum. We don't want to get embroiled with other countries' national their wars that they're having. We want to remain how we are today. We're not aligned with any communist countries or socialist countries. We want to take policy stand that will protect our interests and our future. So we have to, I listed a couple of things down here that we should definitely.
So Jimmy, since you are saying it is unlikely that our country, our leader, gonna say no if the offer is made, don't you think Liberia then will be aiding and abetting some form of human rights violations, because some of these people, from what we're hearing, they are not given a due process before even being deported. So for Liberia to accept them, Liberia will be inhibiting, what is actually a violation of due process here.
Well, that is where they will have to furnish us with the information regarding how and where they're imprisoned. Okay, and then we can determine if they meet the category of people that we can accept. But it's just to have a blanket policy without we don't have where these people coming from. We don't know their nationalities. We don't know the reasons for their arrest. I think we need that in place. We need to know who they are, why they're arrested, when they're arrested, did they receive due process or not, and then we can proceed.
And you think our leaders will ask for that? Who don't even know? I'm sure if they have records of the number of criminals we have in our country.
Well, that's why we have a foreign ministry. And if they want to accept the job, then they have to do the job. So I'm not thinking on whether they will. We know they should. And they should do the job properly. That's why they were put there.
All right. Jimmy, let me leave it there. Let me announce the number for those who want to call in and participate. I see those watching engaging here in the conversation. Call the number 605-313-6004 and you enter the call 791-403 to get on the conference line and be part of the conversation. As you may see, the number is also right beneath my knee here, right here. So if you can't find it in the Facebook or YouTube live feed, it's right here. Right here, you can call, and then you will be given the opportunity to participate in the discussion. So, Dr. Pearson, I strongly believe that Liberia can say no. And the nation Liberia will not die. And I think that is the right thing to do.
I agree with you on that. So
I don't think our country should be part and parcel of anything that is uprooting people from where they've lived for a long time. I don't think our people should be an accomplice in what is a dangerous policy of President Trump, all right, to help President Trump to fulfill his campaign agenda here. And I think our leaders should be able to do so. And I think President Baka, and I'm betting here that he's going to say, no, we're not doing that. I don't think the country is going to die. This is the right thing to do. Do you disagree or not?
So first of all, we've established the negative, the very negatives that could impact this decision if we say yes. Or if we say no. But I want to bring another perspective just because of time. I know we're soon be running out of time to this conversation that will put this discussion in a positive light. So if you look at the history of Liberia, we have the legacy of coming to the aid of nations or people that have been suppressed or oppressed politically. If you look at our history, our legacy in being Africa's first independent republic, you will find that we came to the aid of many of our African brothers in other countries around the world when they were in search of sovereignty and freedoms. International law provides for providing safe haven for people who rights are being abused. And Liberia is a signatory to a lot of those international humanitarian laws. So the fact that we have that legacy, and the fact that we're currently sitting on the Security Council of the United Nations, we may be on an obligation to see Donald Trump's action to be violation of fundamental human rights without saying it to his face, and then accept those deportees as asylum seekers rather than as victims who's supposed to be incarcerated. Now, how the detail of that will play out, again, it goes back to how our what we call our foreign service staff, our diplomats, how to play that, because a lot of the times before the conversations take place, there are back channel conversations going on as well. So if we want to take that route, saying without admitting that Donald Trump is abusing fundamental human rights, we can come to the aid of some of the populations that are being, whose rights are being violated, and give them refuge, like we've done in our history. If you go back, you read, we did it for South Africa, we did it for Ghana, we did it for Sierra Leone, we did it for Ivory Coast, and we did it for many other countries. So it's just the difference will be in the numbers at a given point in time. So if we go in that route, then I can say yes, President Boyka, you can go that route, but then you have to make sure that our history account for this service on our humanitarian hosting of these individuals whose rights are being violated, and let us use that as an opportunity to get funding from other places to treat these people as refugees from the United Nations, and treat these people as refugees so that the long-term cost benefit against us would not be shared by our country alone.
So, Mr. Dukley, how can we make good of what may be a kind of delicate situation here? I think you heard Dr. Pearson. How can we make good of this?
Well, I mean, if it's going to be something that we cannot say no to, we have just said here earlier that having these people are going to come with some financial economic assistance. Maybe we can take some of those, we can take some of the funds that's going to be coming with these people and make some improvement, badly needed improvement in our current prison systems. I mean, the South Beach prison there needs lots of improvement. So are other prison centers around the country. So that can be one area where we can improve, our facilities, and maybe allow some assistance that is going to be coming with these people to trickle down to other institutions that would need to support the prison system. For example, some of these people, you can have a job training program for them while they're incarcerated. You can have, there are a lot of things that can come with this if done right, or if the approach to it is done entirely people trying to be greedy and trying to get the money and put it in their pocket. There are a lot of things they can do. They can do a lot of things, and some of the training program I'm talking, they can also introduce a training program for the inmates while they are in prison. You get them to do something so that when they come out, they become productive citizens, they become productive, permanent residents. There are a lot of things you can do that you can take advantage of the money that has been given to you now and do some of this. I'm pretty sure there are people in the system, the Ministry of Justice, who would like to see some of these things happen, and they just have not been able to to have the courage to get these things done. But if it's coming with if you got extra cash coming with these people, why not? Some of these institutions need significant improvement to be able to house these inmates. That can be an upside to all of this.
Thank you. And J. Randy, I like what that Pearson provided here. Liberia has always been that nation that accepts others. And this is America now that have been preaching, we are a nation of immigrants. America is open to everybody, and now taking people out of here. And we know for a fact that many of these people that deporting are people of color. All right. So trying to make good of this, can Liberia use it as an opportunity to project itself as a better nation? That when other human beings were being rejected because of maybe how they look, or because they live in a country where they came to seek opportunities, all right, or we accepted them, can we even go forward and say, look, you know what? We will grant these people citizenship and welcome them in our home and tell them to become Liberians, all right, just as America has been doing. You come here, you apply for citizenship, you have the opportunity to work, and you live here, and you make a significant contribution. Can we open our arms to these people and not just welcome them as criminals and welcome them as human beings and even offer them citizenship? Will we be making a much bigger statement? Will we be rising above the frail and trying to teach America how to really treat human beings? Because these are people, most of the people that support Trump, they call themselves Christians, that they believe in God, that they read the Bible. And they are the people that are ransacking human beings made by God. Their fellow human beings say, well, get out of here. We don't need you just because of the way you look, or maybe you committed misdemeanor crime, so get out of here. Can Liberia rise above the fray? Is there a way we make good of this thing to another extent?
Absolutely. I mean, to every situation, you got to look at it from the pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I think it's Dr. Pearson just mentioned about Liberia now sit on the non-permanent member seat. That is an image for our country, and that is why I'm asking that President Bush is very strategic in presenting his case to Donald Trump, and I hope that he is prepared. So let's look at some positive things, because I've been hitting all lot of negative things here. I think it was Jimmy mentioned about 1,500 Liberians will be deported. Now, if President Trump wants to deport people of different countries to Liberia, one of the negotiating strategies could be from President Boyka to really set an international standard. Say, look, I don't mind taking these people, but I have weaker institutions, and I would need a substantial financial support to reintegrate the people into my country, not just to put them in prison, but they can become better. However, we do have 1,500 people here too. And I want to make sure that my people be given a due process on a case-by-case basis. Some of them are TPS, DED. I don't want you to deport them. So if I'm going to help you, I would also like you to do a swap to look at many Liberian cases here, case by case, and lower the expectation of deportation while I'm taking your order. Because some Liberians been here for a long time, and we have a relationship with the United States for a very long time as well. And give Mr. Trump the opportunity, because Mr. Trump, not that he cannot be taught, and he can be taught, but it just depends on how well you probe him and how well you engage him with eye-to-eye contact and making the case based on how you feel. So I think with that negotiation, Liberia will stand as a non-permanent member in the United Nations, and we could walk away from that conversation knowing fully well that President Boyka did not refuse President Trump's offer. He did provide an opportunity where both sides can have a shared value of what they want to achieve. And then domestically, if we receive these people with the financial support, we can begin to change their lives and to become good people. So at the end of the day, for me, it's really into the strategy. If you don't strategize to go to Trump, he's going to outperform you. So,
I totally agree with it. And let me just add a little bit what Randy was saying. But it starts with policy. It should not be a individual decision or one-time decision. You need to come up with a policy. Like the government of Liberia or the government of the Republic of Liberia reaffirms its commitment to maintaining constructive, cooperative relations with the United States of America, a long-standing partner. At the same time, we are a sovereign nation, and we also have to protect the integrity, security, and well-being of our people. And you come and outline those different policy points so that it will stand the test of time, okay? And you can turn this thing into something positive. But if you make it a unilateral decision and not a policy, you spoil it. You spoil it. We need policies. We need guiding rules and regulations so that subsequent governments behind it will know why we took the decision, and they will understand our course better. But this individual decision making, but unilateral decision making, does not cut it. So we have to come up with a policy if we're going to do this.
And Jimmy, we all know America remains one of the greatest country, and people can argue that it is the greatest country. In so many ways, it is. In many areas, it's not. But I can argue that America is so powerful today because of immigration. And it is hard time. Some of our white brothers and sisters understand that. Some of them really understand it. This is a nation of immigrants. This is a nation that was for the Indians, and they came and they were welcomed by the Indians, and now they have a home. And everybody want to use the iPhone. My history tells me that the guy who built iPhone came from Iran, the place President Trump was bombing. Steve Jobs' parent came from Iran. Had it not been because of immigration, America accepting immigrants, maybe you would have made that iPhone in Iran. Or maybe that iPhone will not have been produced because maybe you are not going to have the opportunity there to do so. We will not be using iPhone today. I'm saying this to say that there can be that opportunity for Liberia to say, look, we're going to play the big brother role here, because Trump, the guy is like a toddler. And, this America First thing, he does it with zeal and without knowledge. So this is actually a very good opportunity for Liberia to showcase that, look, we're going to rehabilitate these people. We're going to welcome them in our home. But Mr. President, to do so, we need a place to put them. All right. And somebody was asking, why are you even discussing the thing here? They may not never happen. No, let's have a serious and sober discussion. If any of our leaders listening right now, they may not have these ideas that have been discussed here, and you can't find it on any other planet. On any other platform other than here, focus on Liberia. This is where you can find it. We have armed them with ideas that they can go and negotiate and make Liberia to be recognized among its peers. A nation of compassion that welcome people. Most of the people are people of color. And they're now trying to rehabilitate and make them better citizens in their country. This can be a positive thing. I don't want to worry about, these people are hardcore criminals. This is a language that they're using. Most of the people they've been arresting, these are peaceful citizens. Some of them visa expire. They want to live here and work, and that's what that is. They are not criminals. Not everybody is a criminal in this country. The fact that somebody overstay a visa, is a violation of the laws of America. But to say that the person is a dangerous criminal as a result of that, it's just politics, and it is shameful that this is happening before our eyes. So this is what Liberia can do. And so, folks, if you want to participate, again, the phone number is 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791403#, and the number has been displayed for so many times now. I think, Jimmy, we are having a very good discussion. The audience learning, so they don't even want to participate. So that said, let's bring it to close now, and let's talk about other things. We dealt with the possible deportation thing a whole lot. The U.S. government is saying this is about trade. This is about business. And our president is here. Our understanding is that there already been arrangement made where he's going to engage business leaders and Liberian citizens in the Philadelphia area. So that is a huge opportunity. Investors, business people will be going there. I understand that the president is going to speak there. And now that is after, or maybe before, the president is going to have audience with the president of the free world, they will say. That's a huge platform. How can our leader, how can our government now make use of what is a huge platform? Now they're getting a new recognition. Liberia president is here. He met with president, and they are talking about business. More than likely, I hope they're not deceiving us, because governments are known for lying. Say, well, let's say that business, and then we just deport the people. But if it is actually the fact that they're going to discuss about business, what can Liberia do here? This is our opportunity. And let me start with you, Mr. Dukley. Cooperation, partnership, foreign direct investment, though it has not benefited us, but if we negotiate better, just as what's it named, Tuareg is negotiating better in Burkina Faso, people are benefiting. It's all about negotiation. What can we do?
Yeah, again, maybe this can also be a perfect opportunity for Joseph Walker to pitch some of his agenda items, to corporate America through the American government, So yes, he talks about tourism in his rescue agenda. That's one of the areas that I see that is very not exploited enough, and there is a lot of opportunity there to develop. So that can be one area. And Liberia is lacking behind when it comes to technology, in terms of connectivity, in terms of the quality of our technology availability. These are all areas that through these meetings, the Liberian government can negotiate some form of assistance that can come to us through this meeting. So there is just a host of opportunities that can be taken advantage of, by corporate America has it all. Corporate America can make things happen, but they don't. I mean, you are the one who need them to come to your country to develop, or you are the one who need them to come to your country to invest. So we should be the one seeking them out. We should be the one coming to them so that they can assist us. And so this is a perfect opportunity to do that, because I don't know what was the arrangement made. I don't know what are the things that are planned for the president's visit. But every foreign dignitary, every foreign president that comes to visit the United States, they all take advantage of their exposure in the U.S. to get to reach out to some of these institutions. So this is not any different. I think Joseph Boakai has a very good opportunity here to pitch some of his development agendas and see if he can persuade some people to go and help him and help the Liberian people.
Dr. Pearson, I'm going to put it to you bluntly. Indeed, this is an opportunity. What do you hope to see President Boakai do differently, or if not differently, do that will really project him, as a good negotiator, and so on and so forth? Dr. Pearson, I don't know why I see that you disappear here. All right, and okay, he stay here. So, do you wish to see President Boakai on CNN, for example, making a case that Liberia is open for business, and that the telecommunications sector is open and is young, and it presents a lot of opportunity? In fact, the provision of internet in our country is another place, because we have a useful population that is on the internet all the time. All right, manufacturing. Can President Boakai appear on CNN? Can President Boakai appear on Fast News? Can President Boakai be on MSNBC, telling Americans, look, Liberia is America. If you are a business person and is looking for that African country to go and invest, Liberia is a place. There are incentives that we are providing. If you want to build a factory in Liberia now, let's say to go into manufacturing, maybe we'll give you 10 years, you're not even pay for the land, let alone moving your things, and that just bring investment. I mean, is this an opportunity? Is this something that you want to see, other than the guy in Philadelphia and someone run into the microphone, you're talking, people can't hear you, and then you come back and that's it? What do you want to see different?
Thank you, Anthony. I think opportunities are for those who are prepared, and Liberia is not prepared for these opportunities. We were down in Georgia. In Georgia, President Boakai was down south there. He went to the Black Investment Conference, correct? He took nothing out of that. The Black Network Conference. He was keynote speaker. In fact, he presented a whole long laundry list of things that he thought he wanted to share as his arrest agenda. We generated nothing from there. Not only that, President Boakai went to Canada, to where Dr. Duke is, and they had the Canadian Investment Conference, and nothing came out of that. Right? He went to China, and we heard about the Bugos MOUs, China Africa Investment Conference. Nothing came out of there. So coming to America now, coming to what they call, I think they call in this one, some trade investment office or Liberia conference, whatever the case is. Are they prepared for opportunities? When countries are making big investment deals, it's not on the spur of the moment, going to conference and strike a deal and come back home. It has to be a consolidated effort in pre-planning and post-planning. And I think we are lacking the skills in pre-planning and post-planning. We do not go ahead and lay the basis and then follow through with what we want to get accomplished. So now the refinery that the Bazorians are waiting for in Buchanan City, there from the 3 billion as well come from China, that 2 billion or 3 billion. Our man Sam Water left from the platform, he has come there. Sam Water has not come back yet to talk about that 2 billion, 3 billion. MOU, a loss in the wind. So I don't see anything coming out of this. Again, you talk about media. Now, the media in the United States is divided. You know that for a fact. It's politically divided. If you want facts, you be talking to the mega group. If you want to CNN, you're talking to the Democrat group. Now, it depends who in power that will take you for no, nobody gonna take you serious on those medias. In fact, when I listen to Fox, I downplay everything they say on there. When mega people listen to CNN, they downplay everything they see on there. So it's not gonna call it the one of the most how you call it independent media that would have helped would have been Voice of America. Donald Trump scrapped Voice of America. All right, Voice of America is off the air. If even it's on the air, it's badly funded. So I don't see what we're going to achieve in here. This whole thing is just another fiasco. And then we're going to spoil money coming to another conference and going, nothing's going to come out of it. I would think even the one with Donald Trump, the meeting with Donald Trump, there's no major investment deal that will be cut there for the fact that we are not respected as a party coming to the table with something to trade. Our rubber was hijacked from us. Our real deal was hijacked from us. Our president was coming done when American Embassy announced as though they are the PR officer for HPX that we signed a concession agreement that we've not had any public hearing for or on. We've not had any civil discussion on those concessions, and they say they're happy that we signed a concession with them. I mean, these are all fiasco. And are we going to get a fair trade? Fair trade with Donald Trump is not fair. Donald Trump is Donald Trump. He goes on what he wants. He either get it or he punish you for not getting what he gets from you. So I think we're just going to come here, play politics, play it safe, and go back to Liberia and go back to China. Safe.
I want to respectfully disagree with Dr. Pearson. I will tell you why. I really believe that at any time, an individual and a nation can get up, brush the dirt off, and start flying right. And I believe that we can make the proper preparations to take advantage of the opportunities that will present themselves. Tolbert did it when he had that free zone. What he did was he allowed businesses to start up. They weren't taxes, it was a free zone. And they got on their feet. There are techniques to doing this. But if you're not a businessman or you do not know about establishing business, then you have an expert amongst your advisors who has these unique ideas to promote Liberian entrepreneurship just by creating the atmosphere that will spawn such growth. It can happen tomorrow. It doesn't have to take 5 years, but the idea, it has to take the right attitude toward it, the right approach. So yes, we haven't seen enough happen in the past, but doesn't mean tomorrow it can't happen. So I look at tomorrow as an opportunity that we should be taking advantage of, because we all want to go back and contribute, but it has to start tomorrow. We can't be kicking down the road. But it will not happen if we don't have.
I didn't see your disagreement. I didn't see your disagreement.
30 seconds to save my neck. 30 seconds to save my neck. Just 30
I'm
seconds.
trying to help you. I don't see the disagreement.
Yeah, just 30 seconds to save my neck. Mr. Eastman, the impediments to attracting investment in Liberia is not how well a proposal you develop to take outside. It's the lack of electricity, the lack of friendly business climate. Even for Liberians who want to do business back home, the service charge, the Rick Monroe at the port, the National Port Authority, which is the gateway to our economy. All of these things are big impediments to investment in our country. So yes, until those hurdles are removed, and then you come out and say, now this is the door, like you said, Torba said, now we have open door policy. The policy provided the climate to invest. This does not provide the climate to invest. We have not fixed electricity in over 15 years, going to 20 years. We've not got it right. We've not got water right. You know?
And roads are terrible. And one of the things that I experienced that appears in when you are trying to process, registration documents in Liberia, sometimes that application is stuck at an office. And you think people there are looking at it and doing their work. You have to go there and sit there and they will see you and they will treat you as though you're not even there. And there's a
Yeah.
reason for that intention. It's
Yeah.
intention, you know.
Yes.
And this is not a way to serve our country, you know. And many people have experienced this, and that's the issue that we are having. Gentlemen, time is fast spent. Let's come to recommendations here. Let's come to recommendations. Talking about the whole so-called migration proposal that we fear may come down, and also there's a so-called business meeting. What recommendation do you have for our government? Do you have 1 minute each? Who wants to go first? Jimmy, you are from the city of politics.
Yeah. When you say recommendation, you're talking about for this conference or for
recommendation for our country? And let me pull it this way. What I see here is we have been called to be talked to for something we're not sure what it actually is. At the end of the day, if it is offered, we'll take it because they're giving a few dollars. That would not be the first time. And we are still where we are in terms of development.
Okay.
So what recommendation can we have or provide to our government? Because they have been coming. I'm sure this is President Walker's third time, if not third, maybe fourth time since he got elected as president. When he was president-elect, he came, he was watching TV. He was watching football. There was no urgency. All right. And I've not heard anything substantial in terms of moving the needle here. So because this is doing one thing over and over here, same thing over and over here. That is what I see. And what can we do differently? What can we recommend at this time? Because America is not a solution to our problems, and that is 100% fact.
No, we have to be the solution. Anytime you want somebody else to be the solution to your problems, you're already lost, because everybody's going to be looking out for themselves. They're not going to try to solve your problems. They're they're too busy solving their own problems.
Definitely.
So when we come to the table, we have to stop this coming to the table with our handout. We don't want handouts. We must never negotiate asking for aid. We need to enter into a business deal. We do have the resources. What we have, or a lot of resources that we don't even consider. We have one of the fastest growing youthful population. Most of our people are under the age 35. You know how many cell phone opportunities and IT opportunities that will provide in the near future? So we coming there, line up our resources, and we said, this is the resources we're bringing to the table. We're going to give you the ability, just like you said. I like Dr. Fisher's point. It was really clear. We have to remove all those red tapes. I think the taxes at the free port are too severe to grow industry. You cannot choke your economy by imposing these serious import taxes and think it will benefit. If businesses grow in Liberia, jobs multiply in Liberia, you can recoup the money later on. But by making import in the country so expensive is not necessarily the best way to go. We need people who have different ways of approaching and not doing the same thing, just like you said, the same thing over and over again. We need people who know how to use resources in negotiating business deals. That is what we need, and not simply extractive in resources. We don't want somebody just to come take our iron ore. Do you know people are taking sand from Liberia? Sand. Why are they taking our sand away? That's not what we want. We want to be able to use our resources to industrialize our country, and that is the kind of negotiation we need to negotiate. And we have the people, so we should do it.
Thank you, Joe Randy. Recommendation. Because what I see here is we are on a begging spree, and that's why we've been on for a long time. The recommendation is because what the president has come for, he's being called to say, well, man, we'll give you a few. And the reason he said, well, I'll go this out, but maybe they'll go small thing. That's all. That is all.
Yeah.
It's nothing, but that's all. Yeah. So what recommendation do we have?
Well, when it comes to recommendation,
Mhm.
I'm going to plead the fifth attorney, Mr. Attorney, but Anthony. I don't work for the government. There are people drawing big paycheck.
Mhm.
The reason why President Walker should work,
Mhm.
a foreign minister should be able to create a database that link in all that friends can put in their profile.
No,
CV.
man, you say you plead the fifth, then you giving recommendations still. But go ahead.
The recommendation is a teachable one. It's not a guide. And I'm teaching them what to do and not what to help them. And there is a conversation for better communication. I want to give them a direct conversation. So what I would expect that will help them, all right, is for them to develop a database where all Liberians from A to Z can put in their career. And if they need help in any area or subject matter, they can go in there and reach out to these people. That will limit the number of people who want government job, and you can contract them based on case by case basis. Because the government is not the solution to the problem. Everybody think government is the solution to the problem. Anthony said, you said it here. And I mean, Anthony, you said it here. There had never been a government that brought a solution to the country. So the government is not the solution to problem. The government is the problem, but the government can find ways to improve the way things can be done by inviting the subject matter expertise. In the country right now, we don't have a professional class of people. The only people we have are the voting population and a handful of politicians who are doing things that only represent Liberia to just be good as a country that is only good for bad example and not sustainable progress. So no recommendation. I have my CV. If they need it, they can reach out to me. I think for your show today, the conversation kind of addressed the issue as you posted to us because we're obligated to you to give you what you needed. And that way I start for now. So I would like to jump up, guys, and thank you very, very much, Anthony. I mean, I keep calling you Anthony. Why can't you guys go to law school?
My name is Anthony.
Yeah, Sunny. Okay, let's see with the Sunny. All right. Thank you
All right.
guys so much, Dr. Pearson, Brother Dukley, and then Brother Jimmy. Thank you. It was always a pleasure, and coming here, and I will never start coming here. As only invitation is
Thank
extended.
Invite us on your show too. We come.
All right, we'll do.
Thank you.
right.
Mr. Duque, time is fast spent. In a minute, what recommendation can you give?
Since I consider Joseph Bogo to be, between a rock and a hard place. I mean, there's an opportunity for him to make good on this trip that can yield some good publicity for us. I mean, I'm still big on on the tourism side of things to see that the tourism sector is developed. Ecotourism is one of them, and many other areas of tourism that can be developed. And I just wish that Joseph Walker and his delegation can take advantage of their presence in the U.S. and pitch, for investors to come. But you see, like Dr. Pearson said earlier, sometimes we don't realize how some of these little impediments can affect, people mindset when they want to do something. So I think, there are other bigger things that they need to do to encourage people to come to do business in Liberia. But there are other things that are smaller that people can, they can live with. They don't, not that they are good, but you can live with, So I just hope that they reach out, not only limit their presence to people of politics in the U.S., but also to the business community. And I mean the United States business community, corporate America, so that they can maximize their presence. Because there it's not common that you see our presidents are invited to the United States. So if you get a visit, I hope they can maximize it. But unfortunately, on the diplomatic side, I don't see capable diplomats who can make the kind of deal that I'm talking about.
I ask you for recommendation. You still criticizing?
Yeah,
you don't have one.
I mean, I was talking about how they need to pitch to people who can help to develop our tourism sectors. That's something I recommended.
Okay, thank you.
That they can help to eliminate some of the barriers, that can discourage people from coming to invest in our country. And so, I mean, there are different things that they can do. Just again, I just said that they can try to reach out to the corporate America and the business community in America, so that they can tell them what we have to offer to them. I mean, there's no shortage of areas to invest in Liberia.
Thank you. Our new progressive commentator, please give us recommendation. We need to move. Our friends are running.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Anthony, thank you for the show tonight, for having me, and to my fellow panelists for tonight and the listening audience. Listen, diplomatically learn from experience. We've had the Ukrainian president come here and he got bamboozled. We saw Ramaphosa come here and he got bamboozled as well, but he was more steady and under control because he prepared for Trump and GD Vance. President Bwaka is very soft-spoken. He's not very audible, and that comes with his age and the condition in which he finds himself. Nothing personal against him, that just the circumstances that he finds himself in at his age. So I would think that those around President Bwaka have decided a solution around that, because we already know that Trump has a tendency of setting people up to bully them and see what he gets out of them in doing so. When it comes to the issue about whether the issue with deportees will come before us, there are two things I think our brothers who are around President Bwaka should take into consideration. Those who are in the back door and making all the discoveries and the discussions behind the back door, let them be able to find out who are we talking about, what are we negotiating. If these people are not hardcore criminals, or if we have the opportunity to pick between what we can get from the basket, then we can say yes to the proposal. If it's going to be hardcore criminal, we're going to find excuses based on the fragility of our state, while they should give us some consideration not to have them brought to our country. If we should be forced to take people by saying yes, Anthony, President Bwaka, and those around President Bwaka, play the card of our legacy of championing our role in Africa as the first republic, and who stood there in the past with that great legacy of being a country open to anyone who was seeking freedom and whose rights were being abused. Let us play that card, and let us use our seat on the Security Council to be the premise on which we are accepting those who we feel are in a disadvantageous position and need to be rescued. And that's why the government is called a rescue government. So frame that in your policy statement before you do the acceptance. And last but not the least, when it comes to business and trade, we shouldn't go, President Bwaka shouldn't go talk about we get forests, we get young people, and our forests are not properly utilized. Our young people are not prepared. So go saying, listen, our ports, and we're regulating our ports, we adjusting policies at our ports to have easy entry and access to our country for investment. We increasing the level of electricity across our country, and these are the plans we got for electricity advancement. These are the road connectivity that is taking place right now in our country. Sell those things, because those things are the things that will entice the investors to promote their business. They don't want to know you get forest or you get iron or you get rubber. They want to know if when they come there with the capital, they will have the kind of facilitation that they need to make the business thrive. Thank you, Anthony.
Dr. Pearson, thank you, Mr. Dukley, Jimmy, and we also had Jeremy who left the show. I want to say thanks to our audience who stayed with us throughout the broadcast. Look, my recommendation is let our leaders stop traveling to foreign countries to beg. The money spent on plane ticket can renovate a classroom in Liberia and improve a single classroom. The U.S. Embassy is right there. Any negotiation you want to do it there. You're coming to America, it's not a silver bullet that because you're here. Our leaders have come here before. They're always here. And when they come, in more instances, they go with peanuts or they go with empty hands. I'm not saying that this is where they should be coming to get money. We can create our own money in our country. So stop traveling to other people's countries just to beg. whatever negotiation, whatever partnership you want to go with this country, you can stay in Liberia and pick up the telephone and call, including your ministers, whoever responsible to negotiate trade deals, business deals. They can stay in Liberia and make the phone call. Start wasting our money on these useless travels when you can save those funds and renovate high schools in Liberia. D12 is not in good condition. The money spent on travel alone of maybe 15 to 50 government officials can get us a functional library at D12. How about that? How is that difficult? But more to that, we need to industrialize our economy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It will be tough. But that's a tough work that America did. America did the tough work, and so they are industrialized, and we're running here, we're coming to back. Why we can't do it? We had war. Rwanda had war. They decided to industrialize their economy. Now everybody running that. They challenged to have their own trouble. They industrialized, and we're running that. The Arabs, they industrialized. We are running that. It's not a secret. Industrializations have been around for far too long. We have even started the process of industrializing our country. Chikisu factory, battery factory, iron factory, and this factory, and so forth. We were industrializing. People were working in Liberia. What has gone wrong with that? Are our leaders forgotten this? That is the solution. The fact is that when you start to industrialize, start to produce little by little the things that you need in your country, when you start to take care of the factors of production, electricity, and roads, and all these things, investors themselves will come to your country. You think that Ghanaians are running to America and say, come, come, come? They are hearing the news. Investors are looking for opportunities. An investor is always looking for where he will pour his money to make money.
Yes.
If he finds your country as a profitable place for business, he will come. These are the conditions our people should be working on. Look at the rubber that's with the been pulling out of the country. We are not even making slippers. Can we find a Liberian leader who will stand up to Firestone and say a single letter is not leaving? It's been over 175 years now you've been holding rubber from this place. A single is not leaving. We have to produce the tire. Yes, we have to. What will happen to a Liberian citizen or a Liberian president? Die? Then die for your country. You will die anyway. Why are we doing this to ourselves? This is why we are not respected, because we don't stand for ourselves. We have become beggars. And it's high time our leaders stop doing this. I'm not making beef more. Being president of Liberia now, the first 4 years, I will not travel. I'll be in America. I'll be in Liberia doing my work. Let my reforms speak for me. Let the people call me and say, we want to see that man. Did we not hear that what's his name, Tuareg was invited by what's his name, Putin, and he went? It was a spectacular display of power in Russia. The man was being welcomed like a king of the world because of what he's doing in his country.
Yes.
How is that difficult for our people to figure out? That is my recommendation. And this is how we'll end this broadcast. And that is why I want to say thank you and keep watching here at Focus on Liberia. The song that closes the broadcast says, we are all Liberians. Our leaders must get this right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Travel has been the solution. We who have been a beautiful country right now in terms of national development. Travel will not solve it. Staying home and doing the work will make it for us. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.